I'm Spencer Hall with Energeticcity.ca, and this is the Community Roundup virtual edition, because today I'm going to be speaking with Adrienne McBride, who is the Senior Director of Community Animal Centers with the BC SPCA. How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. So you guys
Good.
recently signed a 3-year lease for a new building on 89th Avenue there, um, and it's been quite a I don't want to say production, but it's been a while looking for this new building. So I'm curious what the process was like that kind of occurred between the old building being deemed unsafe, excuse me, and finding this new space.
Yeah, it's been, I think a journey is maybe a good word for it, process. But, some of the things that we have to look for, one is a space that will meet our needs. So things like HVAC type of flooring, plumbing, those are all really important in animal centers, just like they might be in a hospital, because we have to worry about, disease transmission, keeping everybody safe in our care, and happy while they're there. And then the other piece is zoning. So, municipal zoning is a really important consideration. We don't want to be building our animal center in the wrong place, like in the middle of a neighborhood, if we're going to have dogs barking and bothering, the neighbors, but also not in so much of an industrial area that the noise from the industry surrounding us are going to cause a problem for the animals' comfort. So finding a building that met all those needs and was in the right zoning, when there isn't a lot on the market was a challenge. But we were really grateful for all of the times the community members would, forward us links to say, hey, what about this one? And, I saw this sign, posted up on the side road, like, can you look at it? And we chase down all of those leads. And we're so excited to finally have found our new home.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Now, the building was kind of deemed unsafe back in March of 2022. Can you touch a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we were starting to look at some repairs and renovations to that space, as the contractors and engineers and architects started coming through, they started notice irregularities in the building. And I liken it to like when you're a kid and you build with Lego and you just stack like one Lego brick on top of the other without any reinforcements. It's not a strong structure, and you go to move it and it falls down. And so we were really, when we started to look into that space, that's what it was like. And so if we started to do any work in there, or there was also concern about snow load or wind, two things that we know are, happen in Fort St. John,
Very much so,
that
yeah.
would be a risk to the structure. So really, when we're talking, we have animals in there 24 hours a day and our team working, we just couldn't continue to operate, knowing in the back of their mind that there was that potential safety risk.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to move forward and find somewhere where everybody can be safe and happy.
Absolutely. Yes, that's important.
Yes.
So you kind of touched when you put out the release that you found the new space. You kind of talked about some modifications needing to be made to the new building. I'm curious what kind of modifications needed to be done, and has the work started on those?
So we took possession on March 1st, and we're already, one of the first things you do when you buy a new house, you get it cleaned. So that's one of the first things we're getting started. Is that back warehouse space obviously hasn't been used as an animal center. So we're really getting the warehouse space cleaned, the floors power washed and things like that. So that's our number one priority. And then we're starting to look at plumbing is going to be a big thing, making sure we need enough plumbing and drainage to get, washing machines running all day long as we're cleaning towels and blankets and dog beds and things like that. And big sinks installed to wash all of our dishes and kitty litter pans, and even sometimes dogs and cats too. So
Mm-hmm.
plumbing is going to be something that we're putting a lot of work into right away, so we can which gives us the ability to keep things clean, which is the sort of precursor to getting animals into the space. And then the other is just outfitting the space for the animals. So that's our next project. And so we're looking right now with our kennel suppliers and things to get that working. The other space that I get really excited to get up and running quickly is an indoor dog gym. And so again, I was just up at the beginning of February in Fort St. John. I know how cold it is. And so that's not always great for exercising dogs in our care when we've got puppies and young energetic dogs that need a good place to run around. And so I'm really excited to set up the indoor dog gym in the warehouse space so that we have that option to let them run 365 days a year, whether it's, dark out or not, cold out or not, all of those things that being in the north, we want to factor into our operations.
Absolutely. Out of curiosity, because I've never heard the term dog gym, what kind of equipment goes into a canine gym, if you will?
Treadmills? No, I'm just kidding.
Their little running shoes?
Weight benches and yeah, so we want to make sure the surface is non-slip. That's one of the most important things in a dog gym, is that when they are getting to run around and play, that they are slipping. So kind of like that rubberized matting is really helpful, that you would see in a human gym as well.
Oh,
Or some astroturf is also another great surface, so that it kind of mimics playing in the dog park. So those are two really, the surface, and then a nice solid fence so that they're somewhat contained when they're running around. And then you can add agility equipment, and you can mix that in and out. Some dogs really like to chase after those big exercise balls. So you can add those in there. You can bring in toys, tennis balls, tunnels, all kinds of things to make it an enriching and exciting place to hang out.
that sounds awesome, and I will be reaching out for a membership for
I know.
myself and for my dog.
Yes.
And I'm curious, with this new space, does it have more capacity than the old location?
Yeah, so it's certainly going to be a larger space. So we're looking at, right now we're working with about 7,000 or 7,000 square feet. I said that right? Yeah, 7,000 square feet that we're going to be working with. And so it's much larger than the current facility. We won't necessarily house more animals, because sometimes that's often equated like, oh, you have more space, you can house more animals, but more animals also needs more staff,
Mm,
more medical care, more everything, which we want to make sure we may be able to care for more animals, but we want to make sure we have the capacity to do that with all of the other things that go into that. So we're looking at having about the same 12 dog kennels that were in the previous location, and then a setup for cats. We're just hoping the spaces that the animals are in can be bigger than they were in the previous facility.
for sure. And I'm curious as well. I've personally never heard of the animal shelter needing more shelter. What happens to the animals in that situation? Like, where did all the dogs and cats go while you were looking for your new space?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've still been able to help many animals in the community throughout this time where we were closed. One of our most wonderful resources was our foster homes in the community. So that's where someone, volunteers to open up their home to a kitten or puppy or dog or cat for a temporary period of time. So that sort of creates more space for us if we can have animals housed in foster homes. So we've had a wonderful network working with the team in Fort St. John, and that's been the best way that we can provide care for animals in the community. And then we've had some partnerships with local vet clinics as well, which have created space for us. And then we use a program called Drives for Lives, which is a transfer program that we use throughout the whole province. So, and it's really just moving animals around the province. So if we had, more animals in Fort St. John and less animals in Kelowna, then we use our Drives for Lives program to move the animals around, so that we're always filled to capacity across the province. It's just where the animals originated from is not always where the community that they're being housed in.
That makes sense for sure. And another thing that you touched on when you did put out the news release talking about finding the new space was some other programs. Now everyone kind of knows that the SPCA provides kenneling for stray animals while they're waiting for their forever home. But they may not know of some of the other work that you do. So could you tell me a little bit more about your community outreach programs, specifically in Fort St. John?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really exciting part of our work. I mean, our goal always is, if we can keep an animal in the home that it has, that's the goal. That's the best outcome for that animal, to stay where it's known, it's loved, it's comfortable. So one of our programs that I get really excited about and has been really active in Fort St. John is our food bank program. So we recognize that there are all kinds of reasons why you might be in a tough spot. And if we can provide resources to help feed an animal and keep it in its home, then that's what we want to do, because that is by far the best outcome for everybody involved. So certainly community members can reach out to our Fort St. John location at any time that they're feeling the resources. And we say food bank, but it could be kitty litter. It could be It could be toys, it could be a bed, it could be really anything that you need to help make your pet more comfortable in your home, in addition to food. And that's what we're here for. We are a resource in the community. And like I said, our goal is not to bring as many animals into the center as we can. Our goal is to keep as many animals in their homes as possible. And so if we can provide support to do that, that's our number one way to help the community. The second program that is we'll be able to begin again. We've been doing some of it, but not to the capacity that we had been previously, is our emergency board program. And that's a program that helps individuals who are temporarily displaced from home. So they might have faced eviction, they might be unexpectedly being hospitalized. So they've been sort of unexpectedly unable to care for their animal. So we want to provide that short-term solution for those pet owners until they can arrange for boarding or have a family member, pick up the animal and take it. But what we don't want is someone to have to feel like they need to either abandon their animal if they're facing an eviction, or if they've become hospitalized, that the pet doesn't have to stay at home alone for a few days until somebody can figure out we're a resource. We want to provide that support for community members. And so again, if someone's facing a situation like that, to just reach out and connect with us, and we can do our best to provide the support that helps keep the pet with the person.
That's excellent. I did not know that either of those programs existed, but I think that they're both fantastic. Is there anything else you want to add, kind of before I let you go today?
Yeah, I think, we're really excited. I've been up to Fort St. John a number of times throughout this process, and I've really enjoyed my visits in the community. And I'm so excited about how passionate the community is about the SPCA and the work that we're doing. And it makes the project that we're undertaking to fix the space and invite the community back into our animal center, it's that much more exciting to know how invested and excited the community is. So definitely stay tuned, watch our social media, join our mailing list to get those updates as we're, things are moving along and we're getting closer to being officially open.
Fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to those updates. This has been Adrienne McBride, the Senior Director for the BC SPCA in the context of community animal centers, talking a little bit about the new space that they just got in Fort St. John. Adrienne, thank you so much for joining me. I know that, virtual is not anyone's thing anymore, but I still appreciate you joining me today for the Community Roundup, which is sponsored by Brad's Furniture and Appliances.
Thank you.